cheating, reckless fouls, provocations, fights, zero respect for the opponent. These are just a few of the reasons why Argentina became the most hated team in the world. From celebrating in front of opponent fans to provoking the entire squad to punching players after the final whistle, Argentina kept giving people more and more reasons to hate them and want them to lose in every single round. And when it finally happened, after they produced the worst attacking performance in the history of a World Cup final, everyone celebrated. And yet somehow, the scenes after the final whistle made them even more hated. But why do they act like this? Why do they constantly break up the game with absolutely horrific challenges? Why are they searching for fights with their opponent all the time? Well, the reason behind all of that goes much deeper than you think. And once you realize that, you will never look at Argentina the same way. You can hate them as much as you want, but to hate them, you have to understand them first. And to understand them, we need to go all the way back to where it all started. Football in Argentina, like in many other places, was brought by the English. English football in its early days was about directness, physicality, organization, but also fair play. A player was supposed to be a moral example. He was supposed to respect the opponent, respect the referee as an authority, and respect the rules of the game, which is basically the exact opposite of what many people now associate with Argentina. So why is that? Football became popular in Argentina very quickly, but it was not accessible to everyone. Organized games were played in British private schools and British social clubs, places ordinary people could not really join. So they had to create their own football on the streets in a completely different environment. Argentines learned to value technique, disguise, deception. They also liked players who were physically inferior but could outsmart opponents with their brain. In order to survive, just being stronger or more skillful wasn't enough. You had to be clever. But this was not only about outsmarting opponents with feints, dribbles, and body movements, it was also about exploiting the rules. They were not just deceiving defenders with the ball. They were also bending the rules in a way the opponent would not notice. Argentinian football culture began celebrating the art of cheating without getting caught. For British football culture, that was morally unacceptable. But in Argentinian street football, there was not the same moral distinction between disguising an opponent with a body feint and disguising the referee by diving or scoring a goal with your hand and rushing to celebrate so nobody would suspect anything. This is what Argentinians call viveza criolla, cunningness, street smartness, the ability to survive, manipulate the situation, and find a way to win the game by any means possible. Games between different groups were often not friendly. Players were representing their people, their block, their neighborhood, their identity. Confrontations were happening all the time. Whoever backed down from a fight was seen as a coward. Whoever was not afraid of confrontation was seen as someone who proudly represented his people. And this is why today what many people see as a lack of respect towards the opponent, Argentinians often see as fighting for their shirt and proudly representing their country. The English institutions remained inaccessible for regular people in Argentina, so people from local neighborhoods slowly started forming their own clubs where the same culture was preserved. Over the years, it only grew further and further, and to this day, Argentina has lived through decades of political crises, instability, and mismanagement. And for many people, football remains one of the only sources of purpose. Living in a country like that only deepens some of the cultural phenomena from street football. The importance of football in everyday life brought people even closer to their clubs and made rivalries much more serious. The players felt more and more responsibility representing their clubs and were willing to do anything to win the game for their people, even if it required injuring the opponent's best player by a criminal tackle. Players were provoking each other during the games constantly. It was a psychological battle as much as a football battle. The team who won didn't shy away from celebrating in front of their opponents' faces after the final whistle, and the team who lost often couldn't hide their frustration. In Argentina, people were living in a country that has been destroyed by corrupt politicians and mismanagement for decades, which has made them cynical. People struggled to trust any authority. And like everything else in Argentina, that also translated onto the football pitch. The referee was not seen as a sacred authority whose calls should be accepted and respected. He was seen as flawed, imperfect, questionable, someone who they cannot trust. And when the game is officiated and heavily influenced by someone who cannot be trusted, cheating stops being seen as morally wrong, it starts being seen as clever. If the opponent dives in the box and the referee awards a penalty against you, you might do it as well. If the opponent punches you in the face while the referee isn't looking, you might do it as well. This is how football has been operating in Argentina for years. In 1966, Argentina met England at the World Cup, and their captain Antonio Ratin was sent off, but he refused to leave the pitch without an explanation from the referee. The German referee spoke no Spanish, Ratin spoke no German. They had no way to communicate, and the game was stopped for over 10 minutes. Many people called the behavior of Argentina unsportsmanlike. England manager Alf Ramsey even said they were acting like animals. But in Argentina, Argentina, it was viewed very differently. Ratin was praised for standing up for himself, refusing to back down, and proudly representing his country. Argentina felt robbed by the referee, angry at the English, and they never forgot the words Ramsey used to describe them. So when they met again 20 years later, they desperately wanted payback. And then Maradona scored with his hand. Everyone outside Argentina saw it as embarrassing, shameless cheating. But in Argentina, it brought an infinite amount of joy and pride. It was the perfect revenge. Not by beating England in the clean, moral English idea of the game, but by outsmarting them, deceiving the referee, and using cunningness to win. And the current Argentina side is no exception. In the controversial match against the Netherlands, Messi mocked Dutch manager Louis van Gaal with his celebration, a manager who, during his career, had fallen out with several Argentinians, from Riquelme to Demichelis to Di Maria. Then, after multiple tense moments and a penalty shootout win, Argentina celebrated heavily in front of the whole Dutch team, who had made provocative comments before the game. Then they did similar things after the final against France, followed by another provocative gesture from Emiliano Martinez after receiving the Golden Glove, a goalkeeper who has built his image around provocative celebrations after penalty saves. 4 years later, they met England again, and as much as Scaloni tried to assure everyone that this is just a football match and nothing more, it clearly wasn't. Enzo Fernandez celebrated in front of English fans after scoring a crucial equalizer. Valentin Barco was jumping around, provoking the whole English team, and several players held a sign saying "Las Malvinas son Argentinas" after the game. For many people, behavior like this was absolutely unacceptable, something that does not belong on a football pitch whatsoever. But most people in Argentina don't see it that way. In a chaotic country full of instability, football, and especially the national team, is one of the only things that can truly unite people and give them joy. They are willing to follow the craziest superstitious rituals to help the team win. The players are basically just the fans on the pitch, ready to die for the shirt. If you confront them, they will respond. If they beat you, they feel like they have to escalate it even further. If you beat them, they will hold even stronger resentment and do everything to pay it back. And if you hate them, if the whole world hates them, it will only unite them even more, bring them closer together, and make them even more insufferable. When things are going well, Argentina are a group of players full of discipline, sacrifice, and emotion, bringing joy to an entire nation. But when things go badly, they can lose all self-control and cross every possible line. Many people absolutely despise them for that, which is completely reasonable, but we also need to understand that this behavior didn't appear from nowhere. These players are byproducts of a football culture that has been forming in the streets of Argentina for over a century. Argentina is flawed in many ways. There are problems with racism, violence, organized crime. There are groups of people who cross every acceptable line. But Argentina and their relationship with football also brings us many beautiful things. It unites millions of ordinary, innocent people who are suffering from years of political mismanagement. They can share joy, happiness, disappointment, frustration, anger, tension, relief, and thousands of different emotions a game of football can give you over the 90 minutes. You will hardly find a country that breathes football more than Argentina.